It's been 5 days since undersea internet cables were cut, plunging the entire country into an internet blackout. 5 days on, the country is still yet to fully recover. NDC MP for Ningo Prampram and Deputy Ranking Member on Communications Committee, Samuel Nate George, says the difficulty currently being faced by the country is due to poor regulatory oversight by the National Communications Authority. Following the blackout, only 80 was not affected because it had adequate redundancy, something MTN and Telecel do not have. More from Sam George shortly, but Communications Minister Eslo Wusu says to forestall a future occurrence, the NCA is working to license satellite internet service providers to reduce the country's reliance on undersea internet cables.
Initial remote investigations by all affected cable providers have given them the approximate locations where the cables have been damaged. To commence the repairs, these cable providers need permits from the authorities in Côte d'Ivoire and or Senegal. Their vessels will then be assigned to retrieve the necessary spares required for the repair work before sailing to the fourth location to conduct the physical repair work. The affected section of the submarine cable will have to be pulled up from the seabed onto the ship where the repair vessel, where it will be spliced by skilled technicians to complete the repair. It will then be tested for any defects and which will be fixed and then lowered back to the seabed. This process, I'm told, might take between 1 and 2 weeks for the actual repairs, while it will take about 2 to 3 weeks of transit time for the vessel to pick up the spares and then travel from Europe to West Africa once the vessel is mobilized. And that is why the NCA indicated that it will take a minimum period of about 5 weeks for full services to be restored. With regard to the use of satellites as an alternative, it is important to note that the bandwidth of a satellite backup for network operators cannot replace the capacity that has been lost due to the outage. Satellite backup for consumers is more feasible. However, the cost is relatively much higher than the terrestrial solutions. Immediate initiatives that the government will undertake is that we will license satellite gateway earth stations, London rights, and satellite earth station networks. OneWeb has already been licensed. Starlink is in the process of being licensed. And other operators are being encouraged to land in Ghana. We must also invest in operationalizing RASCOM, the Regional African Satellite Company, instead of each country going it alone.
But according to Sam George, all other countries which face the challenge have all significantly recovered except Ghana because of what he describes as poor oversight by the NCA.
Mr. Speaker, I hold the view that we are where we are simply because the regulator that works under the minister failed to do their job. The responsibility rests with the regulator. This is not about another country and force majeure. A regulator doing its job would have put in place the mechanisms and the redundancies that would have allowed us to be prepared for this instance. Mr. Speaker, the cut happened off the coast of Côte d'Ivoire. Côte d'Ivoire was the most impacted country on Thursday. As we speak today, Côte d'Ivoire's recovery is ahead of Ghana, simply because their regulator had put in place the right mechanisms. In the case of Haiti, and if you ask what Côte d'Ivoire is doing, they're using MOVE, the MOVE operator cable. They've immediately allowed all the other operators to piggyback on MOVE. When you speak about the success of Haiti, Haiti is simply able to carry traffic because they have redundancy using the Nigerian link. But is that not supposed to be a prerequisite for all the other operators in the country? Who is supposed to monitor that? It is the regulator. So if the regulator has slept on his job, and today we are found in this position, and then we want to raise our hands up in the air and say, oh, other countries that were affected have recovered and are recovering faster than Ghana.